Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're in Northfield, Minnesota. Northfield is a historic town on the Cannon River. Its biggest claim to fame is this is where Jesse James was defeated trying to rob a bank down here. They have an annual Defeat of Jesse James Days celebration that they do. So I thought what we would do today is just kind of walk around. I want to try to get some photos that show kind of a combination of modern and some of the more vintage older buildings in the historic area. A lot of the buildings have been maintained pretty nicely down here, so great place to do that kind of thing. But also there's a number of signs in that too that are kind of interesting, so probably spend some time getting some photos of them as well. So let's walk around, see what we can get. This place across the river here, Froggy Bottoms Pub, a good example of what I was talking about. You have a little bit of modern mixed with a little bit of some of the old architecture in that. Probably a couple of interesting photos there to get what I'm looking for. I took a few shots, and the one that I liked the most was actually this one. It shows the old stonework, the old decks coming off the back, and then there's also that cinder block area, something that was obviously built in later. But when you look closely, you can see that some of that stonework wraps around. There's some stonework above. So there was obviously something that was torn out, removed, extended maybe, but definitely there was something else there at one point. And so you've got a little bit more modern type of building next to something that's a lot more vintage. And let's just take a walk up these steps, head into the downtown area, and we've got some really nice old buildings and that down here. Another good example of what I was talking about, some of that modern mixed with some of the older buildings. So the central block building, you've got the rare pair sign, the clothing sign for men and women. As we scroll across, you can see some other things. So definitely we're spending some time and just kind of walking around and then just see what we can get. Here's another example with this bank building. You've got the ATM sign, the Merchants Bank. You've got what on the bottom looks like more of a modern type building. And on top you've got kind of the older type building. I spent quite a bit of time taking photos of the bank building and tried a lot of different angles, and ultimately I came up with this one. So with this angle you can see the old First National Bank sign painted on the brickwork off to the side, and I thought that was kind of interesting because that's obviously been really well maintained over the years, since it's obviously not the First National Bank anymore. So I like that. I thought that added to it, and I was also able to capture that other building in the background. So I really like the way these things all kind of came together and gave me this particular composition, but certainly there are a lot of other angles, and just shows the importance of not just taking one shot, but walking around and trying to find as many different angles of something as you possibly can. And then just as we walk down the street, we just see a lot of other examples of that as well. I came across this alley and I thought this would make some fun shots as well. I liked the feel of it. It was narrow. It had the stonework. In the background was the more modern bridge. There's the street light. There was also that other light that was on off to the side. And I played around with taking some shots from up the steps. So there's some steps that walk down into this little alleyway, and some from the bottom. I like this one the best, I think, because of the clouds that were in the background. I think that helped a little bit. I did enhance the light just to make it look like the light was on, so I did just brighten up that area in there. but that was really the only edit that I did that was different from what I saw at the time. So I noticed across the bridge there was the Eagles Club, and these kind of clubs you really only see in smaller towns and cities nowadays, but when I was growing up they were pretty prevalent. It seemed like every city had an Eagles Club, an Elks, a Moose Lodge, several others, and they're basically service organizations. But what really attracted me to this was the old sign. I'm guessing this sign is probably goes back to the 50s, maybe even beyond that. And I wanted to capture some images of that. So I tried first going for a shot that had the clouds above it. And while I liked the clouds, I really was not a fan of the angle, just a little bit too steep. So decided that really wanted to kind of pull back and maybe get the sign with the building, and did a couple of different attempts. In this one, I was on the sidewalk and shot it. Basically just took a few steps back to get the light post, but really wanted to step back a little bit further. Fortunately, there wasn't much traffic. There was a few cars, but not too much coming down this particular street. So I stepped out into the street and I took this photo, which I think of the 3 photos of the sign, I think this is the one that I like the best. And then I also wanted to capture the front of the building itself. And so just went into there's a little median in the middle of the road, just went there and took this shot. And this really kind of got me thinking about signs in general. And so as I wandered around, I found several others just within the town that were kind of fun to photograph. So here's a slideshow of some of the other photos that I took as I was out walking around. So hope you enjoy. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like. If you'd like to know about future videos, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and you'll be notified whenever I post something new. Thanks. Bye.